And welcome to the 31st day of 31 Days of Samhain. I am Beth, and this is Spiral Path Arts, and I am so happy to have you here. Whether you just found me in the last 31 days or you've been with me for a couple of years, it's been my pleasure to sit in front of this camera day after day and present little bits of my life, and I hope to continue to do that. So what are we doing today on Halloween? Well, while you're watching this, it'll be Halloween. Well, I thought it would be good for both myself, mainly for myself, let's be honest here, to just kind of do a little wrap up, a little summary. What did I learn in the last month doing this big project? So here we are, a wrap up of 31 Days of Samhain. All right, well, let's just cut to the chase. YouTube-wise, what did putting up a new video every day for 31 days and never missing a day, even if I had to re-upload because something happened to the original upload, but I didn't miss any. Well, what did that do for my channel and for the algorithm and all those things? Well, what it did was it brought me, double checking my numbers, and this is as of Sunday night. So we have 2 more official days. So it'll, let's hope, go up probably 3 or 4 more new subscribers. So that brought me 63 new subscribers this month. Averaged a little about, 2 a day approximately. And I believe as of this filming, that brings me to 368 or 69 subscribers. I didn't write that down in my notes. I was hoping for 500. That was my kind of benchmark I was shooting for, but I will take 65 more than I had when I started. But I've also received 5,000 more views than I did in the month of September, and that was a 660% increase. So that was a big jump. Will it be sustainable? Probably not, because I'm not going to sustain this amount of production, but it was a nice little bump, no less. And so those are the basic numbers. I am still not monetized. I don't know if I will ever get monetized, to be quite honest. It seems to be a little bit of a slow and steady wins the race, but the race, I've never been much of a marathon runner. I'm more of a leisurely walk in the woods is really more my pace. So we're at leisurely walk in the woods here as far as growth at Spiral Path Arts, and that's okay. I'm going to be fine with that. So the next thing on my list here is, how did I stay organized and on task and, not get in the weeds, if you will, during this project? Well, one, I started mentally preparing for it way in advance, and I started a list, just a rough list. And this ratty old blue notebook that I've had for quite a while has been my savior in many things. I mean, there's stuff in here from way back, but it has been almost every video has notes in here, has playlists, things like that. So I just started a list in here of just random ideas to fill 31 days. Did I do all of them? No, because I came up with way more than 31. And actually, as the process went on, I took a few left turns here and there and came up with different ideas that I liked better. But once I had my list, then I made a handy dandy spreadsheet with a film date, a column for the date I filmed it, the date I edited it, uploaded it, and what day it was going to be published, 1 through 31. And I have a copy of this on my refrigerator. And I have a copy that I kept with this notebook, as well as another list somewhere in this notebook that is listed 1 through 31. And I would enter them as I put them on YouTube so that it was kind of redundancy just to make sure I had it here, but I didn't have to go down the list because this was not in 1 through 31 order. There was some different orders. There's color coding. That doesn't matter. I color coded it: kitchen things, craft things, outdoor things, and more witchy kind of stuff, Halloweeny stuff, and some other randoms. Okay. So that was how I stayed organized. Also, at the beginning of about the second week, I think it was, at the beginning of the week, I would go through my list and I would look at my calendar and I would kind of decide what days I wanted things to come out, what order I wanted them to come out. And I would make a little Post-it note that I would put on this list on my refrigerator saying, week of, these are the 6 or 7 or whatever videos that I need to make this week. I also tried to stay 3 or 4 videos ahead. So I was never making a video the night before it had to go live the next morning, because I knew if I got to that point, I would probably never recover. So that also helped. And starting in September, getting a few in the can, if you will, before October 1st really helped. So another thing that I did that wasn't quite as concrete and on paper was every night I would either take a moment in the living room and light a candle or what have you, or before I turned off quite often after I turned off the light, went to bed, I would sit and meditate, if you will, on how I wanted these videos, the next 4 videos I was working on, to look, sound, if I had any ideas, run through some scripts. That's how my brain works. And then I would sleep on it. And then I'd get up the next morning and I'd hit the road running to get my ideas out there to you. So where else are we? Okay, well, let's talk about the good stuff, all the good stuff. There really isn't much bad stuff, so don't worry. We'll come back to good stuff at the end. Well, actually, I always like to end on a high note. So let's go to some of the less than positive things or the negatives that I could say about the last 31 days, and they're not what I thought they would be, to be honest. I am not burned out at all. I'm not as burned out as I thought it would be. I'm really not burned out at all. I'm actually invigorated and excited. As I'd already mentioned, I didn't really get as much feedback and new subscribers and, comments and all that stuff, all that analytic stuff on Facebook and on YouTube as I had thought hopefully I would get going into this project. But the work is out there. It's there. Someone will come across it later. And I think a lot of it is fairly evergreen. So I'm not going to worry about it. I grew, and that's really the main thing. My channel grew and I grew personally. So it's a negative. It's not as positive as I had hoped. Let's just say that. It wasn't a negative, but it wasn't as positive as I'd hoped. And then another just personal thing, which again is kind of on a scale or a spectrum here, is that there were many days that there were things I would like to have done, little just side quests, if you will, that or little projects that I wanted to finish up. It really ground my gears to not be able to go back the day after I had such a frustrating day on that black velvet dress, to not just be able to the next day or two finish it up and leave it unfinished. It just gave me a little anxiety. I'm not going to lie. Just went against the way I work on projects. I start a project and I finish a project, like that kind of project. There's a lot of other little projects that, I don't necessarily finish, but sewing projects and things like that. And so there were a few other things that just, it's a nice day. I'd really like to go do XYZ. But I've got these 3 videos I've got to get edited and wrapped up, or I got to film this while the weather is nice, or whatever it might be. So just a little bit of that FOMO, just a tiny bit. But I also got a lot more done in general than I would have done otherwise, probably, which now will bring us to the good stuff. So as I have mentioned, or, we have talked about, I think, Samhain is the witch's new year. I have always felt that autumn, the end of summer, is just a new, fresh start for me, much more than January 1st, much more. So that's how I approached this whole month and this whole project. This was my New Year's project, and I set some intentions and some resolutions and some things for myself as the summer wound down to take into fall with me. And this project really did help to solidify and build on a lot of those things. And I'm just going to share a few with you because, like I said, back on October 1st, one of the intentions of this project was for you to get to know me and for me to share a little bit more about who I am, what I do, and those kinds of things. One thing that I have been doing pretty regularly since the beginning of the month has been just going up for short walks around my neighborhood. And mainly that is because the weather has gotten better. But the other reason is because of Castiel, my 14-year-old dog. I could tell as the summer progressed and he turned 14 that he's had a lot of things starting to happen, old age things. He was struggling getting up, starting to limp, struggling getting up and down the stairs in and out of the house. He's also started to lose a little bit of his back end control, if you will. He's a little incontinent in the poop area. So he'll stand up in the morning and there'll be turds in his bed, or he won't make it to the door in time and he leaves little Easter egg trails down the hallway. And all of that is because he's not moving enough. So I love him probably almost more than any other sentient being on this planet other than my children. And if they watch this, they're going to be like, but do you really love us more? I'm not sure about that. I do, girls. I really do. He is my ride or die. So anything I can do, and I'm crying now because I'm talking about my double dog, but anything I can do to make his life a little bit better for however long I still have him with me, I'm going to do. And so I started taking him on morning walks. And when we began, he could barely get around the block that I live on without starting to stumble, starting to limp, and breathe heavy. And that was as far as he could go. I am happy to say that now he is up to at least 2, sometimes 3 blocks up and a block over and back around. There at least once or twice a week, we go for him, a pretty good length of a walk. And it's, probably no more than a quarter mile or maybe a little more than that. But anyway, that has brought me a lot of joy, and it's a new habit that we have gotten into. And part of it was because I wanted to get out and film some things around the neighborhood and check things out. Another thing is because I have been doing so many kitchen witchery things and my canning projects and things like that, I am eating much better, more consistently, healthier homemade food. And so, and it's wonderful to have those canned goods. If you didn't watch the canning video, go back and watch those. To have those practically ready-made meals right there on the shelf to open. I did have some of my carne asada like the second or third weekend of the month, and I'm going to have it again this week. I thanked myself profusely for doing that job that day because that is some good stuff. So that's what I'm going to say about that. Also, other things, my intake of my herbal infusions has improved. I actually rearranged a little bit in my kitchen to have my herb jars right there above my tea kettle so I could have no excuse. I didn't have to come in here and get those. So that was great. I have made a recommitment to my own daily practices of yoga, walking, like I said, meditation. My drums and my bowls I've had out for a couple weeks now, and I've been using them a lot more. So just in having my altar space set up where I see it every day. It's not tucked away in a back room somewhere. It's right there. And my tarot practice. I didn't share really any tarot this month with you, but I've been doing, much more consistent there. So that is wonderful. And okay, this next one, true confession time. Something I'm not very proud of is that for the last 4 or 5 years, I would say, 4 years, probably 4 years. After 2019, time is irrelevant, but it was sometime before 2019. It was more casual back then, but I started smoking again. Didn't put it out there. So, and then when I went through my divorce, I was intent that when I was away from those daily triggers, I would quit smoking when I was in my own place, and I might, I was going to get my shit together and I was going to quit smoking. I didn't. And then I moved to Alabama and I didn't. Well, then if you've been with me and you remember this summer when I went up to, which trip was it? Michigan, to visit my sisters. I smoked a lot on that trip, doing what I did, hanging out, sitting by campfires and stuff. And, but I got home and I only had like a half a pack of cigarettes when I got off the plane and drove back to Selma. Then I got really sick, and I was sick for 10 days at least. And I was coughing so hard. I was just miserable, and I had no desire to smoke during those 10 days. And I had run out of cigarettes, and I didn't feel well enough to go out in public and buy more. And I had been meditating and sending intentions out, asking my guides for help, praying, if you will, doing a lot of work. And even when I was in Michigan, I was journaling that whole time. What are the things I'm going to do when I get back to Selma? What about, what kind of life do I want to live? I was really like feeling like I was in a transitional stage. That's where I came up with the 31 day of Samhain idea. And it was all part of that, like, let's manifest some stuff. Well, one of those things was to quit smoking. And I thought it was going to be a dreadful, hard, difficult slog. And I was going to go back, multiple times and fail or suffer or be angry or gain 20 pounds or all the things that usually happen when one quits smoking. Because I've done it. I quit smoking for 20 years. That's the other thing that makes me mad. But that's something else. But anyway, long story short, I quit and it was easy. And I have not had a desire to smoke since then. And this project has helped to reinforce that because it's kept me busy, kept my mind off of all my triggers that make me want to smoke. And I think the last couple things too is, my increased time management, which I'm really good at when I put my mind to it, and I feel like I can get a lot more accomplished. What is the saying? If you need something done, give it to a busy person to do. And I've been busy this month, but I've gotten a lot done. That's all I'm going to say about that. And I'm really proud of myself that I took on this task and I accomplished it. And I don't feel crappy about it at the end. Like, I feel really invigorated, which brings me to the next point on my list, because now I've gone back to journals and lists. I'm very inspired to start some new projects, to explore deeper some of the little things that I dabbled in throughout the month. I want to dye more yarn. I want to make more rope baskets. I have some other little knitting projects I'm going to share with you. Lots of outdoor projects now that it's cooler. I had a whole raised bed garden building project that was going to be this month. Didn't happen, but it's going to happen. Getting this back bedroom and bathroom renoed and cleaned out again, high on my list. So all those things. Also, the last thing on my list here of other positives that I gained from it is I've definitely learned a lot about filming. Well, first of all, pre-planning my videos, filming the videos, doing a lot of editing in camera, and then streamlining my editing process. I am still by no means very good at it, but I'm better at it. And that's really, and it's easier for me. And that is the big thing, because I would get to I'd have stuff filmed and I'd have to edit it and get it like make a story out of it, and it would be so daunting that I wouldn't want to do it. And then it would go days and weeks before I would put up another video because I just hated the whole process. It was not bringing me joy. Well, now I figured out how to make it simpler, bring myself more joy. So we've talked about the negatives. We've talked about all the positives, lots of those. And so that leaves the next question, what's next? I think I've sprinkled a few what's next in here. So what's next? Well, I still have some of the basic goals of, number of subscribers, view hours, all those, boring YouTubey stuff that are there that I've written down to manifest, put in my wicker man to manifest and send to, do the work and the success will follow. That's kind of where I'm working at here. I think my plan, no, that sounds wishy-washy now, doesn't it? My plan as of right now is to do weekly videos. And I'm going to dig a little deeper into the analytics and the things, but it looks to me like Sundays are a good time for me to put up new videos. Sundays or Thursdays. So one of those 2 days, I will be starting to put up weekly videos. And I've come to the realization that I think I'm going to waver on this one. I am going to be a little wishy-washy. But I think as of right now that the style I'm kind of leaning toward is more of a vloggy kind of weekend review, just share my life and maybe have a little sit down and chit chat if some idea comes to me or some something that I want to tell you about, some story that I want to tell you about, rather than any kind of tutorials or DIYs. I mean, I'll share what I am DIYing, but I'm not going to take you step by step through what I do because that is not my strength. That is not what I'm good at. And there are hundreds, if not tens of thousands of YouTubers that have the setup to do that. That is their skill set. That is what they're good at. I am better at just sharing my life and my personality than I am showing you how to do stuff. Teaching has not been my strong point. Comments that I've gotten on certain videos have led me to believe that, yeah, people are looking for tutorials. What I do is not a tutorial. So I'm going to lean away from that a little bit, continue to share my making and my creating, but not in such a way that it's like, this is how you do this. Because there's other people that do that and do it way better than I do. Not my strength. Work to my strengths. Something else that I'm working on. This is not ready to go live yet. I don't know when it will. I have a website. I have a web store. There are some products in it. They're actually really cute, handmade, nice products. And I want to start to build that and focus on that a little bit more. And I think the way I am going to do that is I am going to continue to make and create and dabble and things like that. The thing is that I only have so much space in my house. I only have so much use for so many things that I make and create that once I make it and create it and make a few of them and have a lot of fun with it, well, then what do I do with them? So those things that I make are going to go into my web store. And my thought process is to do monthly restocks, monthly drops, monthly whatever, there's a word for it, my brain ain't coming up with it, of things that I've made throughout the month or find in my storage rooms that I've made in the past. There's all kinds of goodies out there. Either put together little grab bag boxes if it's like a bunch of small little things, but every month on such and such a date, that's when the shop will be shop updates, there's the word, and promote it throughout the month and let y'all know when that's going to happen. And hopefully be able to move some of my inventory, if you will, and share some of my gifts and things out there. So let me know what you think about that. So the other thing is future goals for me personally. Well, like I said, I had some goals in mind for this month that haven't quite, been fulfilled yet, but I may have been a little bit premature or, overshot, overshot my goals. I didn't overshoot the goal. I whatever, you know what I mean? I think, I hope. Yeah, I might be organized here, but up here, the things are still tumbling like a bingo basket thing. The balls just pop out of my mouth whenever they come around. So B12, what was I saying? Future goals. I'm hoping to reach the goals, some of the goals that I set for November 1st by January 1st. Sometimes it's a little slow burn. That's fine. But longer term, I'm looking at Beltane, May 1st. We'll see how these ideas that I have, the growth I've had so far, where that takes me, where I am on May Day. And if I need to call a May Day and just say, okay, I tried, I'm burned out, I'm done, what have you. My house is finished. There's nothing left to show you. Anybody's lived in an old house knows that'll never happen. Something like that. If it's still a hobby that I enjoy, then I'll keep doing it. If it's a hobby that I enjoy that has finally monetized in 6 months, well, then maybe I'll be a little more motivated to keep at it. But if it's quits being fun, we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm definitely going to be with you. My intention is weekly from now through May 1st. There might be a week or two in there. You never know. Life happens. Okay. So upcoming video ideas that I have. Well, I mentioned one. I have, for 10 months now, had this plan and this idea to make some raised beds out of the scavenged materials from my my tornado destroyed shed that I still have out here. I know exactly what I want to do. I have built them 100 times in my brain. Finally going to get out there now that the weather is better and nicer and get some built and share that with you. Another thing that I was very inspired by this month was my trip to G's Bend and the airing of the quilts. So I am going to have my own personal airing of the quilts here in the next few weeks. Get all my quilts, quilt tops, all the things, all the quilting things out. I'm meaning to do this for a long time. Go through them. There's a few that need to be just a little bit of finishing. There's others that just need to find a home. And there's others that need to be backed and quilted. Well, that'll be a video. You'll get to see all the quilt stuff. I want to get more up on the wall in my house before winter because it does add a little insulation. And yes, the quilts. And of course, we are moving into the winter holidays, into Thanksgiving and Yule, Christmas. I have an unboxing for you in a few weeks of something I purchased recently, specifically for Yule, and also a thrift find that is interesting. It's the find itself isn't that interesting, but I discovered who donated it to the thrift store, where it came from, and I think that's kind of an interesting story. So those are all things to look forward to in the next month. And of course, hey, Stinky McGee, come here. There will always be more cats. Hi, you smell. Why do you smell? What did you have for dinner? So Henry, Lilith, and Cass hopefully will always be with me. Well, not always, but through the next while, right? And that's been my month. I think I'm going to go. Oh, another benefit. I learned how to make some really good cocktails earlier in the month. Made this one before I sat down. Haven't even drank it yet. It has been my pleasure, and it has brought me a great deal of joy to bring all these videos to you. I am in need of a little bit of a break, so I don't know if you'll see me back here next Sunday. But I think so. Like I said, I'm kind of on a roll and motivated, and I realize it doesn't take 10 days to make one video. So, anyhow, thanks for being with me, and I look forward to spending more time together. Peace out. Later, taters.